What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost, and I just got done watching the 4th episode of Mandalorian, or Mandalorian Chapter 4. I think it's called The Sanctuary, or Sanctuary. Don't quite remember which one. But just got done watching it, and it's not very good. Spoiler alert, I didn't really like it that much. And this is going to be a spoiler review. Now, let me get through the couple things that I had an issue with overall before I actually just go through a basic plot. And I have been asking for more dialogue, and I should have known better. I shouldn't have asked for anything because we got a lot of dialogue. We got probably like 3 times the amount of dialogue from The Mandalorian in this episode than we've got in the previous one combined. And some of it was just cringe. That's maybe the best way to describe it. Some of his interactions. And he's turned into this like good-hearted dad now, who he goes from in the first episode just beating and just killing those people in the bar who are messing with him, and he killed that Quarren he was running away, who I don't even think the Quarren actually hit him. I think he was just part of the group that was harassing him, and he just killed him in cold blood. So he's going from that to what we see in this episode. Not a huge fan. There's going to be one moment you hear people talking about woman power, probably. It's a small thing, but it is there. It's not huge, but you will hear people talking about it. Cara Dune. I like Cara Dune. I think that Gina Carano, who was an MMA fighter, she's believable in this role. They didn't try to make her way OP, except maybe in the first encounter, and I'll talk about that. Overall, it just felt like a normal TV show, which I don't think Mandalorian should feel like. Should feel better than that. $15 million an episode should feel better than that. And it just felt kind of like an average CW show, like an average episode of Arrow. Like, even like all of the plots, or even the points that we hit along as far as introduction, the problem and resolution, felt like a very CW-ish kind of plot. So one big problem that I totally forgot from earlier is the tracking fobs. So in the recap, we see that the tracking fobs are still in use, right? They're able to find out where he is, yet he just forgets about that. He thinks, oh, no one will find us here. Everybody in the world still has tracking fobs. So unless you killed every single person there, every single person that had a tracking fob happened to be there and ambushed you. I don't believe that to be true, and we see later that that's not true. So let's get into it. Here come the spoilers. And I didn't like it, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Spoilers. Now, starts off with you're in a village. They're fishing for krill. They're all happy. There's a cool little robot that's like a stork droid that's also fishing. I thought that was neat. Cool little thing they put in there. But they hear something, they start running away. Their village gets invaded by Klatooinians, who are kind of like barbarians. They attack everything. A couple people, a woman and her child, survive by hiding under a little collecting bin and a little bucket thing in the water. So they hide. That was kind of cool. Whatever. Introduction. Boom. Mandalorian title shot. Then the Mandalorian is there with Baby Yoda. Yes, again, Baby Yoda is very prevalent just for cuteness in this show. The kids love him. The women love him. Some men love him. I don't. You guys know my opinions on Baby Yoda. Not going to spend too much time. All that I can say is everything in this episode is exactly what we've talked about. The ploy that they're using, this cuteness ploy. It's more of the same. Much, much more of the same. He tells him stop touching things, and he immediately keeps touching things. Right? Okay. He starts narrating what he's doing to Baby Yoda, which he hasn't done before, but he's narrating what he's thinking and what he's doing. He says, hey, there's this planet called, I took a note here, Sorgan. There's a planet called Sorgan. It's very backwater. No one's there. They go to it. They're looking for just a place to lay low. They go into a little restaurant cantina area, and you see Cara Dune sitting at a table. Mandalorian notices her because she looks like she knows what she's doing. He has some interaction with the waitress, which again is just a little cringe. And he refuses any meals because he's not going to take his helmet off in front of people, right? But Baby Yoda gets some soup. And he asks about Cara Dune because he's worried she's like a bounty hunter, but she's gone. Where'd he go? So he takes off after her. She ambushes him. They get in a little fight. This is where I said that she was maybe a little... They're trying to establish what a good fighter she is, and I get that. You have to establish her power level, and she's his match, right? She is his match in combat. However, he's wearing Beskar armor. She full fist like punches him several times. I don't think... One, I think that he would have a decent amount of protection with that Beskar armor, which is kind of what it's for. And I think that would really freaking hurt her if she was actually hitting him like that. But it ends in both of them drawing their blasters and pointing them at each other. And then they see Baby Yoda watching them. And he's like, hey, do you want to get some soup? That's what I mean by some of the dialogue was cringe. And it didn't make sense. It didn't make narrative sense. They were just fighting. They just pulled blasters on each other. And he says, you want to get some soup? Weird. We get established that Cara Dune was a shock trooper. She fought for the rebellion at Endor. And that does kind of come into play later, I think. But she says, this is my place. You need to find your own. He's like, all right, well, I guess I'll just leave then. It's a big planet, but evidently he needs to leave. So goes back to his ship, gets accosted by some people who are offering him money to help. It's the villagers. Some of the villagers who want him to clear out these Klatooinians. He says no at first, and then they say, oh, we have to go back to middle of nowhere now. And he's like, ooh, middle of nowhere. That'd be a nice place to lay low. So he says, I'll do it. And then he goes back to Cara Dune. He finds her, and he's like, hey, you want to help me out with this job? She's like, sure. Okay. I don't know why he thought he needed help. And I don't know why he's so friendly to her right away. But they trust each other, like, immediately. They establish this connection. They're on the way. They get to the village. Everybody loves Baby Yoda there. All these kids are going up. It's like it's all kids at Walmart looking at the Baby Yoda merchandise. It's exactly like that. That's what's going to happen, right? Except it's, like 28-year-old women who are just in love with Baby Yoda. So that's what's going on. Again, more establishment of that. He moves some of his stuff into a little room. They're going to put him in this little barn area. And the woman that we saw from earlier who saved her child, Omera, I believe her name is, Omera, she takes a liking to the Mandalorian, of course, and tries to give him some food, asks him about why he's, thanking him for doing this, asking him, when's the last time you took your helmet off? And he says, in front of people, not since I was a child. And he talks about how his parents were killed and the Mandalorians took him in. Now, it's pretty clear to me from the flashbacks and from what he just said there that we're looking at them taking a storyline direct from Jango Fett open season. Now, Jango Fett, that's exactly his story. His parents were killed and he was taken in by the Mandalorians and raised by the Mandalorian people. So, I guess he didn't have any source material for this, but that's what you are directly ripping off, is this comic book, which is a good comic book. Now, Cara Dune and the Mandalorian go to try to see what's going on, and they're tracking where the barbarians came from. They realize there's maybe like 15 to 20 of them, but they also realize that there is a huge mechanical something with them. Cara Dune identifies it as a print of an AT-ST, All-Terrain Scout Transport, which we've seen several times in Star Wars. A little bit of fan service, which is fine. I don't know how they got their hands on it, but they have it. They go back to the village and say, we can't handle this. You guys are just going to have to move. Not something that we can handle. And they're like, but we can fight. We can fight. And Mandalorian's like, we can train them. And so they decide that they're going to train. And we have a training montage for the villagers. And it reminded me of an episode of the Clone Wars where a very similar thing happened. I think Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka, this is off the top of my head, so maybe I'm a little off, but they train up this whole village of people to repel Separatist army. And it was very much like that. It felt just like that. So they're training. The only person that can shoot for some reason in this village, they don't really explain why, is Omera, the woman that the Mandalorian has a little romantic thing with. Everybody else can't even hit a target, and she's just like just like repeatedly smashing this target that the Mandalorians put up. So you're gonna hear some people talk about that, about the wham power and how good she was. So it was a little silly that they put it in there. It didn't play a part at all later. It didn't play a part at all in the fight. Like, you saw her shooting, you saw her maybe hit one person, but why? That is true. I don't know why they put that in there if it didn't have anything to do with later. Anyway, so they're going to set a trap. They dig this big hole to try to get the ATST to step in, and they want everybody ready for the Klatooinians when they come. Cara Dune and Mandalorian go to their encampment. They cause a distraction. There's a good little fight scene where they set a bomb and they need to get out of this building before the bomb goes off, and Klatooinians keep coming in. They keep having to fight them off. Finally, they escape. The action was well done. I did like that. Overall, again, action is well done in this show. The effects are, in general, well done in this show throughout. They escape. They see the ATST come to life, and they run through the forest away from it. Get back to the village. They're ready. ATST's coming up. They set a path that it has to walk. It comes right up to the hole and then stops. And decides just to look around, turn its lights on. Mandalorian's like, everybody get down, get down. And for some reason, a bunch of idiots still stand up. And he starts taking fire. ATST opens up on the village. Everything starts exploding. The Klatooinians come in and they have to fight now. The villagers all have to fight. And we see them using all their training. Good thing that they got so well trained. And they're able to hold their own, both with blasters and with spears against the Klatooinians. But the ATST still needs to move forward. So that is the tension builder through this little fight scene. Cara Dune takes the pulse rifle to try to draw it up. She shoots it. It takes a couple steps. It's almost there. She shoots it again. She shoots like the eye plate out of one of them. And it finally takes a little step, loses its balance, falls in the hole. Mandalorian drops a bomb on it and it explodes. Yay! The day is won. They finish mopping up the Klatooinians. And that's that. Flash forward a couple weeks later, evidently, and Baby Yoda is still just as cute as ever. He hunts down a frog and puts it in his mouth, and all the children laugh. And Omera is sitting there with Cara Dune and the Mandalorian saying, hey, he's really happy here, talking about Baby Yoda. So I don't know if she's misgendering him. I don't know if it actually is a he, but that's the first time that I heard a gender for the baby, for the child, and called it a he. And Mandalorian agrees. He says, yeah, he is. They're very thankful for what the Mandalorian has done for them. And she goes off. Cara Dune's like, so what happens if you take that helmet off? Do they come track you down? And he's like, no, I just can't put it back on. Cara says, really? That's it? So you could just take it off and start a family here with that beautiful woman who's clearly into you, and settle down with this child that you have? With nothing, no repercussions. But that's not what the Mandalorian wants for his life. He wants to leave the child there since it's happy and go on, because his life's no place for a child. He goes to talk to Omera about it. Omera says, I wish you would stay. I want you to stay. You can take all this off, save it in case we ever get in trouble, but you could just live your life. You can give him a father. You can live with me. You can just have a normal life. And she reaches up to take his helmet off, and she stops him. She stops him. Come on, we didn't actually think that was going to happen. We did not think it was going to happen, but all right. In the distance. Now, this is a big problem I have. Oh, I'm going to cut this out and put it in earlier. Hold on. So the fobs, right? The fob is blinking, so someone's still tracking Yoda. Like I talked about earlier, I had to cut it out and put it earlier because I forgot. But there's still people after him. And you see someone with a sniper rifle looking at the Mandalorian and then going to Baby Yoda. And Mandalorian stops her, says, no, I want to leave him here with you. She says, I'll keep him as my own. He'll be safe here. And then you hear a gunshot. Luckily, it's Cara Dune who saved the day. She killed the bounty hunter before he could kill Baby Yoda. And Mandalorian realizes, well, it's not safe here anymore. Got to move on. And he starts packing up his stuff. Everyone's saying goodbye to cute little Baby Yoda. Oh, it's so sad that he has to go. I wish he would have got shot, to be honest. Kind of wish it would have happened. Would have been a subversion of my expectations, but I would have enjoyed it. And God, is such an asshole. But he's leaving. Him and Kara part ways. Seems like they'll meet again at some point, but he goes off, and that is the end of this episode. Now, overall, I think we're seeing something. We're seeing something. This was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. Every episode's been different and directed by someone else. And what I see, instead of maybe character development, is different characters in each episode. And this one totally felt different. I don't think it's a case of like a character development. It's a case of this was directed very differently. The Mandalorian has so much dialogue. All of a sudden, he's very chummy with Kara. He's very chummy with all these other people. It's strange. It doesn't ring true to me. It's not believable to me to have the Mandalorian be the character he was for these first couple episodes and then be this guy. He should still be more standoffish as far as I'm concerned. I was looking for more dialogue, but the way he interacted with people just didn't seem right to me. So I don't know if Bryce Dallas Howard's directing any more of this series. I kind of hope not, but that's just my opinion. This one for me was very, very average, not a little cringy. Like I said, kind of like a good CW show, like a good episode of Arrow. That's what it felt like. And I want Star Wars to be more than that. So overall, like a 5 out of 10, maybe. I didn't think it was that good. I didn't have the triggered moment like I did in episode 2 when Baby Yoda did the thing. But overall, just kind of a bland episode. But I want to know what you guys think. What did you think of episode 4? Where do you see it going from here? I've heard about episode 5 that we're going to get some major, major backstory on the child. That's what I've heard. I don't know any specific spoilers because I've tried to stay away from all that, but that is what I've heard. Let me know what your thoughts are going forward for The Mandalorian. If you like this episode, if this is a step in the right direction, a step in the wrong direction, I definitely think it's a little step back from Deborah Chow in episode 3. Like to see more of what she does. But overall, very meh. You're going to hear some stuff about women power, trust me. But other than that, let me know your thoughts. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, share the video so it gets out there, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.